Hi, welcome to Budget MTG Decks. All magic fun, all cards under $1. I'm David, and today we're going to be looking at the top 10 Dominaria cards for Commander. Now, if you want to know what the best cards are for Limited, that is sealed or draft, we did a full set review of every single card in Dominaria, especially for Limited. You can click on the button above right now. That'll take you to that video, that series of videos. So what is the criteria to make the list? Well, we think that these top 10 Dominaria cards for Commander are going to be the cards that are going to see the most play, the most powerful cards that are going to be seen in as many decks as possible. However, we can also look at some cards that we think are going to make great commanders, which will be only seen in a specific amount of decks. And for that, we go to the honorable mentions first. The first of our honorable mentions is Setsuko Umezawa Fugitive. For 1 and a blue, we get a 1/3 human rogue that states that creatures you control with power or toughness 1 or less can't be blocked. Now, this is a great card to build around. It's unfortunate that it's only in blue. That means that if you make this your commander, you can only use blue or colorless sources. However, the ability is very interesting because blue has a lot of small creatures or creatures with low power, high toughness. With when they deal damage, you get some kind of beneficial effect. So Setsuko will definitely allow you to have an awesome strategy, perhaps with a little bit of loot effects and perhaps some equipment that either boosts toughness or power, but not both, to make sure that you can get those either high power or high toughness creatures through and make them all unblockable. Very cool card. Valduk, Keeper of the Flame, is next for 2 and a red. So for 3 mana, we get a 3/2 Human Shaman. At the beginning of combat on your turn, for each aura and equipment attached to Valduk, Keeper of the Flame, create a 3/1 red elemental creature token with trample and haste. Exile those tokens at the beginning of the next end step. So what's really cool about this commander is that we can go both Voltron and we can go wide at the same time. We can build this as a classic Voltron strategy. It's mono red that does limit our auras, for example, but equipment doesn't really limit us at all because, well, they're all mostly colorless. So we're going to be able to pump a lot of stuff on this character, and then not only are we going to be able to attack with a very big creature, which is going to have trample and it's going to have higher power and toughness and vigilance and all kinds of cool stuff, but also before it attacks, we're going to get tons of tokens which we can attack with as well. Great little strategy for going both wide and Voltron at the same time. Slimefoot Stowaway is next for 1 a green and a black. We get a 2/3 fungus that states that whenever a sapperling you control dies, Slimefoot the Stowaway deals 1 damage to each opponent and you gain 1 life. For 4 mana, create a 1/1 green sapperling creature token. Okay, now this card just screams build around me, tribal sapperling, and let's get some fungi in there as well. It is really cool. The effect is not that powerful, to be honest. Just losing 1 life, gaining 1 life is not going to be such a big deal, but the fact that it is in the right colors is just a lot of fun to be able to just get all those black and green sources of sapperling and put them on the battlefield. I also find that the effect, the paying the 4 mana for the 1 sapperling, is a bit expensive for what you get. However, flavorful wise, you can build yourself a really fun deck. Up next is Marwyn the Nurturer. For 2 and a green, we get a 1/1 elf druid. And whenever another elf enters the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. We can also tap it to add an amount of green equal to Marwyn's power. So it's very simple. You just go elves. I mean, you like playing mana dorks, you like playing small, cheap elves, you like playing token elves, you pop this sucker down, it's going to ramp you into being able to play even more elves. All that you really need to make this deck work is make sure you got some extra card draw so you can make sure that you can refill your hand, because you're going to be able to empty and dump your hand out of elves so quickly. But definitely a lot of fun if you want to go elf tribal. Lyra Dawnbringer is next for 3 and 2 white, so for 5 mana we get a 5/5 angel. It's got flying, first strike, and lifelink, and other angels you control get +1/+1 and have lifelink. So simple, just screams as well. Angel tribal, we haven't really had a commander yet which has been perfect for making angel tribal, so this card is definitely something that people are going to be looking at and finally going to have a good commander for angels, which is going to give that little bit of extra punch, a little bit of extra power, a little bit of extra that lifelink to keep you in the game. Is it going to be a broken commander? Is it going to make angels overpowered? Not at all. But it is fun and it is flavorful, so we're probably going to build a deck around it. Then we come to the last of our honorable mentions, and that is Muldrotha the Gravetide. For 3, a black, a green, and a blue, we get a 6/6 elemental avatar, which states that during each of your turns, you may play up to 1 permanent card of each permanent type from your graveyard. Okay, This is crazy. This is definitely a commander which people are going to love. This is going to explode. You're going to see this all over the place. Why? Because it allows all those permanents to be played back from the graveyard. So it's not just a very limited graveyard strategy, which we've had before in the past, you know, reanimating creatures, or maybe something like the Gidrog monster, which is focusing on the lands, or something else which likes returning enchantments back. I mean, this gets everything back, and if you're able to build a deck which is nicely balanced, uses a lot of different permanent types, and be able to play those again, mill yourself, it is going to be super awesome. This is definitely our top pick for the new commander for this set. And now we have arrived at our top 10 Dominaria cards for Commander. We're going to start it off with Mox Amber. For 0 mana, it's a legendary artifact which allows you to tap to add 1 mana of any color among legendary creatures and planeswalkers you control. Okay, people are going to love this. I mean, we like playing our commanders in Commander, in EDH, so that's definitely something that we have to remember. Also, the fact that it comes in for free is nothing to sniff at, and it also mana fixes us and mana ramps us. I do believe that this card will be more valuable in commander decks which have a low costed commander, you know, maybe the Slimefoot, or maybe a classic such as Reese the Redeemed, which comes in only for a single mana. Then it's going to be extremely powerful. You know, put in a Soul Ring, something like that, it's going to go crazy. However, some of the decks which are very expensive commanders, like Muldrotha, for example, I think will get less value out of it. But I still think we're going to see this card in a lot of decks. Blackblade Reforged is next. For 2, we get an equipment, and the equip cost is 7, but the equip cost on a legendary creature is only 3, and it states that equipped creature gets +1/+1 for each land you control. Now, this one maybe is going to be seen a little bit less than Mox Amber, I believe. However, commander games go long, people ramp a lot, you know, people draw a lot, and I think this is the kind of card that allows people to finish the game very easily. We always have access to a commander, a legendary creature, I should say, so the equip cost of 3 is not too unusual, and I think that being able to give the creature +1/+1 for each land we control, especially late game, is going to be insane. I think a lot of decks, and not just ramp decks, are going to find a place for this. Deep Freeze is next. For 2 and a blue, it's an enchantment aura. We're going to enchant a creature, and then that creature has a base power and toughness of 0/4, and has defender, and loses all other abilities, and is a blue wall in addition to its other colors and types. So basically this is sweet removal for Commander. Why? Because even when you destroy a creature in Commander, usually people have ways of getting it back, and recursion, or when you destroy a command or even exile commander, is going to go back to the command so they can play it again. People can get their stuff, especially their commander, back pretty easily. However, when you turn that commander, in this case for example, into a 0 wall with no abilities, you really put people in a difficult position, because they're going to have to use the removal to first kill their thing and then get it back to the command zone, and then they're going to have to recast it. So it is super awesome, and blue loves to have these effects. Up next is Unwind. For 2 and a blue, so for 3 mana we get an instant that allows us to counter target non-creature spell and untap up to 3 lands. Okay, we all know that removal is very big, and people like board wipes, people like targeting your commander stuff, and you want to make sure that that doesn't happen. And blue players like their counter spells. However, this is extremely powerful, because not only can we counter basically all that stuff that would that stops us from executing our plan, because that's usually non-creature spells, but also we're allowed to untap those 3 lands, and then maybe we've got another counter spell waiting. So people are really in a difficult position, because it frees up that mana and essentially makes that counter free. Very powerful. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to play. Helm of the Host is next. For 4 mana, it's a legendary artifact equipment that states that at the beginning of combat on your turn, we're going to create a token that's a copy of equipped creature, except the token isn't legendary if the equipped creature is legendary. Then that token also gains haste. Okay, the equip cost of 5 is not a big deal in Commander, not at all. Additionally, being able to make a copy of our commander and the commander not killing itself due to the legendary rule is insane. We're going to see this card in all kinds of decks, because in Commander we build our decks around our commanders, and it's built around a certain synergy, and the fact that we only get one of those, that's because of the legendary rule, that kind of keeps the game balanced. But if we're able to make a copy of that commander every single turn, and adding and multiplying that synergy, it's going to make decks, pretty much all of decks, go completely crazy. So I definitely expect this card to be seen in so many decks. Shalai, Voice of Plenty is next for 3 and a white. It's a 3/4 legendary angel. It's got flying. It states that you, planeswalkers you control, and other creatures you control have hexproof. And for 4, 2 green, we're going to put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. Okay, this is sweet. We're definitely going to be seeing this in white-green token strategies because it allows everybody to be protected except for this card. Obviously, it also protects our planeswalkers, and it even protects us. So sometimes people want to target us with direct damage or discard effect or something. That's all targeting you, and Shalai is going to protect us against that. Also, not to sniff at is the fact that that second ability allows us to put counters on a lot of creatures because we're going wide with this strategy anyway. It may seem like a lot, but having a mana sink is actually always handy, so it does double duty. I love this card. Tachova Benthic Druid for 3, a green and a blue. We get a 3/3 Merfolk Druid. Whenever land enters the battlefield under your control, you gain 1 life and you draw 1 card. Very simple. I think pretty much all blue-green decks are going to want this. Blue-green decks love to ramp and they love to draw cards. So essentially, this does everything. We're ramping. We're going to be using other cards to ramp. Then we're going to be getting extra lands. Then we're going to be drawing cards. The extra life gain, that's nice. But I think definitely this card is not going to be seen so much as a commander by itself, but definitely in the 99 in a lot of blue-green decks. Ursa's Ruinous Blast. For 4 and a white, it's a legendary sorcery. You may cast a legendary sorcery only if you control a legendary creature or planeswalker. And when we play this, we're going to exile all non-land permanents that aren't legendary. Okay. So board wipes are important in Commander. We need to have at least a few in every deck, and they make sure that we keep the game under control. However, a board wipe that's even better is one that allows us to keep our commander alive. Now, the downside, of course, is that it's also going to keep our opponent's commanders alive. However, we're going to play this on our turf, under our conditions, when it's going to be most beneficial. I think a lot of decks are going to want a board wipe like this. Next up, Demon Lord Belzenlock for 4 and 2 blacks. So for 6 mana, we get a 6/6 legendary Elder Demon. It's got flying and trample. And whenever Demon Lord Belzenlock enters the battlefield, we're going to exile cards from the top of our library until we exile a non-land card. Then put that card into our hand. Then if the card's converted mana cost is 4 or greater, we're going to repeat that process. Demon Lord Belzenlock deals 1 damage to you for each card put into your hand this way. Okay, so getting extra draw is of course super nice. Black loves this kind of stuff, loves paying life for a draw, and only paying 1 life and being able to do it repeatedly is going to be absolutely insane. Sure, it'll only repeat when we got converted mana cost of 4 cards, but we can make sure that we build the deck a little bit around that to make sure that we hit a couple of, we make sure we have a higher than that amount. And even so, even if we only draw 1 card and we've got that 6/6, worst case scenario, it is still a really good demon to have in your deck because it just replaces itself. And finally, we got Torgar Famine Incarnate for 6 and 2 black. We got a 7/6 legendary avatar. As an additional cost to cast this spell, we may sacrifice any number of creatures, and then this spell costs 2 less to cast for each creature sacrificed this way. Then, when Torgar Famine Incarnate enters the battlefield, up to 1 target player's life total becomes half their starting life total rounded down. Okay, so in Commander, that could potentially mean that we could play it for 2 mana, using it as a sacrifice outlet, which would gain us some kind of benefit, and then bringing somebody down from 40 to 20. That is absolutely insane. Black deck is going to love this because a lot of black decks are going to be using some kind of sacrifice effects, and this one, we got creatures that we want to sacrifice for value, so we can recur them, get them back again, all those kinds of fun shenanigans. And Torgar is going to be not only going to be a great sacrifice outlet in that situation, but it's also going to come in super cheap, and it's going to knock somebody down completely. Added bonus, you're down to 3 life, you play this card, you can bring yourself back up to 20. Nothing to sniff at. Well, that's our top pick for the top 10 Dominaria cards for Commander. Now, do you agree with our list? Do you disagree? Were there any cards that we missed? Let us know in the comments below. Also, you can join us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Budget MTG Decks. You can have discussions with us there about the cards. And also, don't forget to hit the subscribe button over here on YouTube. And when you do, also hit the little bell button to be part of the notification crew and get up-to-date notifications on when new videos are coming out. That's it. Thanks for watching. I'm David, and this was Budget MTG Decks.